And this is real o'clock. It's real o'clock on Monday. We got some EPT Cup action. And we're finally getting into the bangers here. Because spawning in the lower left-hand corner of Royal Blood, we have the Red Terran, the Towel Terran, Gumiho, the Gumi God, the Gumi Bear, and his opponent in the upper right-hand corner, representing North America in this Open Cup right now. It is Basilisk Gaming's Trigger. He's been looking mighty strong lately. Just took down Nice 2-0 before this. Didn't get to see what happened in that match, but it was a PvP, so could have literally been anything at any point from either player. It's kind of a beautiful thing, PvP. Gumiho, though, obviously going to be a very tough opponent for Trigger. PvT is a different thing altogether. A lot of players saying it's maybe even a little imbalanced, as it were. This probe really going for the SCV kill. Talked about it before, but the first probe is everything bad about you as a person, as a human being, is embodied in your first probe that you send across the map. Every bad, intrusive thought Trigger's ever had, every impulse to just be, you know, awful, this probe gets to be that. It's a good release, you know, if you're like a good person and you don't usually follow those impulses. You're allowed to in the actions of your first probe. Gumiho's going for a factory before CC. He's playing it maybe a little bit safe here against Trigger. Or maybe wants to get a little cheeky, a little aggressive. Reaper heading across the map. See what it can see. There's not much to see right now. It's mostly just about not dying, keeping these units back at home, and maybe getting a scout off. Should be able to jump up here and see if any tech buildings have gone down. It is a Twilight Council out of Trigger. Oh, that Reaper's going to have to wait to scout. It's a little bit low on health. Ooh, this is nice. A little cheeky pressure out of Gumiho. Not just going for a Widowmine drop or anything like that, but building one Hellion at a time and 2 Reapers at a time. Oh, the Adept doesn't quite get that kill. I thought for sure it was going to get that final shot on the Reaper. Trigger now has to worry about these units coming across the map. 1 Hellion is usually not all that gets made here, so I feel like Trigger's got to know there's more coming behind that. This Reaper wall is going to be very, very useful. But yeah, Trigger, okay, he's going to go for just the full wall with 2 gates here. I think that's a great move against this ogre. Oh my god, it's not a full wall. No, Trigger. I was like, he put the gate down. It's just a full wall. Easy peasy. Oh, and 5, 6 workers going down already. The 3 Reapers still alive. They're going to split off. 1 Reaper gets taken down. The other 2, though, going to get 1 more kill before going down. Trigger loses 7 probes there. Now, he is still up 4. And that base from Gumiho kind of just getting mining here. So I feel like it's not the end of the world for Trigger, but that is very painful. It's very annoying. But it is a macro build, so he's just going to be able to expand, keep building probes. But Gumiho is not done. Gumiho doesn't just do one thing. He's going to keep that pressure on. He's going to keep this build going. With the tank and marine drop, he's going to try to head into the main base. Trigger has a few stalkers nearby, actually, but they're not going to be in position to defend this. Oh, they're so close. Actually, Gumiho needs to be careful. He's going to drop that siege tank out. The marines are going to drop out after, but this tank is already taking quite a bit of damage. And the stalkers just dive forward. They just get the kill. It might sacrifice 1 or 2 of these stalkers. Yeah, Gumiho. Oh, actually, a bit of miss micro there from Gumiho. Tries to get the 3rd marine, but ends up just taking a bunch of damage on that medevac. He's got to get out of there. And you know what? Great hold from Trigger. Those stalkers doing a fantastic job. And that's going to allow him to get into the follow-up tech here, get into those Colossi, keep that stalker count a little bit higher. And he's going to head across the map to see what he can see here. The Stalkers can pretty much always get away. They're just keeping an eye in the middle of the map for now. Gumiho, no third command center here. He is just building the production right now, getting a bunch of Marines out. Stim is on the way, +1 is on the way. And that will be combat shields shortly. The Raven going to look for some damage on the other side of the map. But Trigger's on 3 bases. Trigger is up at 50 workers, rather. Keeping that worker count going. Oh, man. Guido. Incognito. Thank you so much for resubscribing. Welcome back to the flock, my friend. It's good to have you. Cheeky little auto turret. Gets 1 kill, but that is it. Discretionary funding has been a bit tight. Oh, believe me. Believe me, Guido, I completely understand. Thank you so much for resubscribing when you have the freedom to do so. I have many a time in my life gone from having a ton of subs, a ton of channels I subscribe to having no channels I subscribe to. It is just a fact of life. But I appreciate your support, whether through subscriptions or just through hanging out and being a good part of the community. I am happy to have you in chat, sub badge or no. That's not true for everybody, though. There's some people I don't want in chat. I'm not going to call out anybody specific, but I just want to be clear. That's not a catch-all. Nice little force field there. The Colossus on the top here of this corner, really, really nice for Trigger. Thermal Lance isn't even done yet, so that Colossus getting it done without that extra range. It is nearly finished now. The auto turret gets a couple more kills, but really not getting too much done. Oh, the Raven tries to go back over, but that is now a dead Raven. And Trigger doing a great job defending this push so far, but runs into the Marines, Marauders, and Siege Tanks, and is going to have to back up a little bit. Oh, and then we've got the drop into the main, but there's already so many Stalkers here. No, Gumiho misclicks a little bit, but so does Trigger. Gumiho didn't drop all those units out right away. Fortunately, Trigger mis-targeted the medevacs there. Goes to the recall to get the units back up into the main base. These medevacs, 2 of them are very low, so he's got to be super careful. Picks up into the high health one, while the tanks siege up on the low ground. Oh, now the Marines and Marauders getting dropped down here. Super shield battery turned on. The Stalker's going to try to focus down the tanks. No, they go for the medevacs. The drop back up into the main base. A couple units will be able to get out here, but Trigger seems to have the defenses in order. 10 probes died during all of that, though. So on the other side of the map, Gumiho's third isn't quite down yet. He is up quite a few workers. Trigger, though, he holds on. He maintains that army supply lead. Gumiho's got some units back here, kind of doing nothing. But he's forcing Trigger to keep some Stalkers back at home. And a 4 Widowmine drop heading towards the natural. But now, Trigger's going to try to put on some counter pressure and stop this third base from being taken so easily. Gumiho sending all the SCVs out. Bit of a dangerous spot with these Colossi here. Widowmines, great splits from Trigger. Damn, what moves. But as he pushes in, is he more focused on the micro than he is back at home? Oh, he pulls the probes. He is going to take some damage, though. 4 probes going down already. The drop gets cleaned up. There's still 1 Widowmine, I think, that hasn't connected. But this third base is getting routed. It's getting lifted. The SCVs are forced to fight. And Gumiho has to tap out as he just doesn't have the army to take that fight. And Trigger takes game number 1 off of the number 1 seed in the tournament. Gumiho, who's now down 0-1 in the the quarterfinals. This would be a big upset. Trigger certainly has the ability to take down Gumiho. We've seen him take down some very strong Terrans in the past. This is a best of 3. You know, Trigger's gonna have a decent ping advantage as well. So that is worth noting. But he's a very strong player. And it wouldn't surprise me too much to see him take down Gumiho here. But I don't think Gumiho will go down without a fight. I'm hoping we get a 3-game series. Heading to Gresfon for game number 2. It would be really cool to see Trigger get this upset, though. and he'd be going straight to the semifinals. I don't think he's got an opponent yet. It's most likely going to be Hero, unless there's a big upset on the other side. So far, Hero is waiting in the quarterfinals, taking down Juggernaut Jason. Jason putting up the fight of his life, but man, Hero's real good. And well, game number 2. Excuse me. Please go to this scene. Thank you. Spawning in the upper left-hand corner of Gres Van, we have the red Terran player, Gumiho. Currently teamless. We got to get Gumiho on a team. I don't like seeing some of the best players in the world teamless. You really don't expect the runner-up of the last DreamHack and a round of 4 GSL player to not have a team. But it does happen, especially in the late stage StarCraft. But would love to see a team pick up Gumiho. He's one of my favorite players of all time. His opponent in the lower right-hand corner, one of my favorite players of recent years. Much newer to the game, back when Gumiho first started. Well, he was but a youngling at the time. For Basilisk Gaming, it's Trigger. I like that Trigger is scouting for proxies. Not a ton of scouting, but just checking down here, checking around the map here. Gumiho is not averse to putting barracks on the other side of the map. He does like his proxies. Double Gas gets scouted by Trigger, so now he's got to know what's coming up here. He even sees the factory go down. Nothing too surprising on either side. Just have to see what the follow-up is for Gumiho. It's another reactor. Could see that same kind of opening with the Reapers, with the Hellions. But I feel like Trigger handled it. You know what? It did get like 7 kills, so I guess maybe Trigger didn't handle it that well. That was the missed wall that I really thought was a wall. And I don't know if Trigger thought it was a wall, but I feel like he thought it was a wall. You know what I mean? Jumps up. We do see a Hellion on the way behind this for Gumiho. And yeah, 2 more Reapers. Okay. Same opening here out of Gumi. We have another Twilight Council for Trigger. Generally to be expected, Blink is far and away the most common build in this match, still, the matchup. I feel like we do see some variety, though, in PvT. You still see some Oracle openers. Robo is pretty rare. I feel like if you open Robo, it's for like a Disruptor drop or something. Trigger doesn't, I don't think has a scout that this is coming this game. Has the start of a wall, but it's not really closable. E-Depth gonna get a little bit of scouting information, damage one Hellion a little bit. But yeah, there is no wall. Shield Battery's about to finish though, and that will help a little bit. As the Reapers and Hellion decide to leave now that a few of their brethren have died. One of the Adepts goes down, but Trigger doesn't lose any workers this time. It's much better opening for Trigger. Gumiho, in the meantime, is getting into tanks and marines. Not too surprising. Hey, look at that. It's the exact same follow-up to that exact same opener. Will Trigger be expecting it? You know, sometimes the least expected thing is to go for the most expected thing, which is the exact same build again. But Trigger seems at least a bit ready for this, as he's got these Stalkers in the main. There's no blink on them just yet, so Gumiho should be able to boost out of here. Oh no! Oh, Trigger pulling the Stalkers away. Okay, looks like it was a bit of miscontrol there for a second. And now the Stalker's trying to get on top of the Siege Tank. Probe's getting pulled to fight. Tank gets one Stalker kill. Looks like a couple of probes will get targeted down here. The medevac goes down. Oh, the Reapers and Hellion dive in, though. Trying to get these workers as they stack up 7 probes now going down. That was very expensive for Gumiho as well. And as we see, Trigger killed a lot more in terms of gas and even a little bit more in terms of minerals. Losing 7 probes is painful, but it's even worker count as Trigger's 3rd base is about to finish. And I think Trigger's got to be pretty okay with that. I mean, he kills the tank, he kills the medevac. Those are not cheap units for Gumiho to lose for a handful of probes. That being said, killing probes is always better than killing units. So a little bit of a give, a little bit of a take here. Trigger should be able to retake that worker lead with the 3rd base. And now without a tank and without stim, these Stalkers can be very annoying to deal with. The tank finally does come out, and it's going to siege up to try to drive this away. The Stalkers just move out of range, or they don't. Okay, there they go. One Stalker does go down, though. It does bite the dust. 3 SCVs and a couple Marines dying. But the Raven's coming back in for Gumiho. It's trying to get some counter damage. This Trigger is back up to almost a 10-worker lead. But just the one kill and some lost mining time for this auto turret. Oh, the Stalker force on the other side of the map has dwindled significantly. I think that was like 7 or 8 before. It's down to 5. Gumiho still just producing units. Again, this is the same build for Gumiho. Speaking of same builds, same build for Trigger. And I mean, for Trigger, I kind of get it. Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? I feel like Gumiho is the one who should have been doing something different in this game. The double medevac drop full of Marines only has a possibility of getting a lot of damage done here. Gumiho throws down the 3rd CC. And it looks like he's going to try to push out with the remnants of this bio army and a couple of siege tanks. Whoa, shield battery finishing up just in time. Whatever that was in the sky must have been an observer getting scanned and killed. Stalkers hitting on the backside. They're going to have to blink through. A couple of Stalkers going down, though. Thermal Lance not quite done yet. That's a nice pushback from Trigger, though. Keeping this army back, keeping it off of his back. It's going to allow Trigger to warp in a few more units. He is down some army supply. Auto turret can focus down some probes, forcing the probes to pull off again. And Gumiho wants to go for a push. He wants to attack in. But he is taking his sweet time. It's giving Trigger time to warp in more and more units. Thermal Lance is about to complete as well. This is very much going to help out Trigger here once that finally does complete. Tanks go down. Super shield battery turns on, and this bio's got to get out of here. But the blink underneath one of the medevacs. Oh, actually, they're all going to live. A couple of probes go down. I think that was mostly to this Raven, though, which has 3 kills. Gumiho gets out of there with some of the units in these medevacs. Trigger's chasing him, though. Oh, he might be able to catch these. I don't know what the distance is here, but he doesn't quite catch him. And Gumiho has a drop to the bottom side. It's scouted by this pylon. And in fact, he's just going to drop out and kill the pylon. Ooh, or he's not. He's just going to go for it anyways. Or he's just going to sit here. Who knows? Who knows what Gumiho is going to do? He has not taken his 3rd base yet. He's floating it down now. So despite the fact that the worker count is similar, the income is still pretty decently in Trigger's favor with the better saturation he can have. Oh, and this drop gets found. It gets blunked on. And, oh, it's so close. I don't know if he can get out of there, actually. Looks like he does. Gets away. 14 hit points, at least, gets away for now. Nice evacuation there from Gumiho, but I gotta say, I'm liking Trigger's position. Look at that army supply. Gumiho's trying to get into a technical army. But exactly what I mentioned earlier in the last series actually is happening here. You can't expand, work on your economy, and get tech, and build a lot of units. And right now, Gumiho building a lot of units is the thing he's not doing. He is killing some probes here, keeping Trigger's economy kind of in the dumps. But Trigger's already got the army. He already has the tech, and he is going to dive in on top of this. Now, there are ghosts here. There are Vikings here, but Gumiho wasn't ready for this fight, and his army in a terrible position. Oh, the blink forward. The Zealots charging in. The EMPs are so late, and that is just going to be it. I don't think Gumiho has enough here. GG Trigger takes the 2-0 victory over Gumiho with an upset on the top side of this bracket. Trigger going to the semifinals. What a match. What a player. Bringing it home for Canada.